What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Insurance Isn't Boring. Joined as always by the one and only Smoking Joe Martinez out of Arizona, and one of our longtime mutual friends, Grant Leber, also out of Arizona. And we're gonna dig into the usual production, building, how freaking awesome this industry is, what Grant's doing to get amazing results, and we're going to ask the questions the people want to know. But with that being said, Joe, Grant, how are you guys doing today, man? How's your week shaping up so far?
Fabulous, long time listener, first time caller. I mean, what a unique opportunity to be here. Um, yeah, man, we're off to a stellar month. We've got a conference around the corner next month. I mean, there's a lot of good things that we're excited about.
Couldn't have said it better. What about
Well,
you, Joe?
same thing, man. Middle of August, ready to finish off strong and get September ready to roll with a big conference. Is how many people can we get there and change their lives? It's I think one of the funner parts of the year where as a business owner and in insurance, it's a challenge, right? Of how many people can we get there? Because we know the stats, we know the numbers, and it's where I get to nerd out. I absolutely love, like, I've become an insurance nerd is what I tell everyone, right? Like I get to learn from so many different people. If you haven't been to a conference, get to one because one thing I love to do is I don't care if you're brand new, if you've been here for years, or if you've done insurance for years, or if you've done it for a couple of weeks. I get to learn from them so much because this industry is changing so fast, and we'll get into that with some of Grant's stuff. But I want to know what the new people are doing to find the massive success because, dude, it's insane of what's going on right now in insurance.
I feel like every year there's some new outlier that's just like pushing the barrier of what's possible, which is amazing. We need that. August is also one of those months. I'm curious if you guys have experienced this, but August is one of those weird months where I feel like a lot of people, I don't know if it's the tail end of summer, you got kids starting back up with school, vacations and whatnot, but to me it seems like the month that a lot of people let their foot off the gas. There's maybe that post post summer slump where I don't know, you lose momentum, you don't have quite as much drive or motivation, but I think this is one of those months that you can really kind of separate yourself from the average. And this would be kind of a good segue to drop some street cred on the people. Why don't we let me start with some stats real quick. Let me just introduce Grant first here, and then we can kind of dig into what we're at for the month so far. We're recording this on a Tuesday. Normally we record on a Friday and go over what we did that week, but we're mixing it up a little bit. So, for the folks who don't know you, Grant, you live in Phoenix, right?
Yep,
Is it
Chandler.
Phoenix,
Yep,
Tempe? Okay, I've only been
Chandler,
to Arizona
Arizona. Yep,
once, and
yep, yep. Just south of Phoenix.
yeah. Grant is a regional agency director with our company, which means he has two agency owners on his team. His best personal production month, okay, I want people to just pause what you're doing for just a second. Um, his personal best month was just this year, pretty recent. Dude wrote $97,000 in a month, y'all. 97
Write that
grand
down.
in a month, which is just insane. On his own pen. Some agencies are doing that as a team. And best month as a team, $471,000 in a month, guys. Ridiculous. We're talking about north of 50, 60 grand in income, by the way. It was probably a lot higher. Best month with writers, 57 agents, guys, writing business, which is people winning, getting out there, crushing it. Grant, I'm curious what you're at for the month so far. I mean, it's August 18th, the day that we're recording this. What are you at month to date, brother?
Uh, 53,000 in personal submit so far. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's funny when you talk about pipelines, you build up a pipeline and, some days you feel like I've got all these appointments scheduled, and then I'm gonna write 10 grand a day, and then like nobody shows up, and then the next day you have like no appointment schedule, and then like six people call you that you've been chasing for 3 weeks, and they're all ready to buy. So, man, you just never know. But yeah, we're off to a good pace so far.
I would say so. Shoot, you're probably going to beat your personal best. We're about halfway through the month. 50, you said 50 grand or 57,000?
53 is what I looked at. I
Good.
wrote a couple today, so I might that might not be in that number. So let's just, we're in the 55 range probably.
You got me beat, dude. I think I'm at like 23 or 24,000 so far this month. Got smoked last week. Is what it is. What about you, Joe?
And y'all are whooping my butt this month. I'm only at like 10.
Hey, we can do a golf clap for that.
That's
Oh, there we go.
harder than 10, harder than 10. I had
Dude's
it
fighting
was
for it.
it was a bad last week, like we were saying earlier. Like everyone's like no showed, or you know what, we've talked about it. It's not something we want to do, but it's funny because they're always followed with a 10 to 20K week. So
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is gonna be the
It's
week. Next week will be
yeah.
better.
It
Numbers are
reminds
you.
me of when I sold my very first car. I think it's a great analogy to how this business goes. So I have the car listed on, every site you can list it on, and this is a 1999 Honda Prelude. I'm asking like 5 grand for it. And this guy, he's real interested. He asked me to drive about an hour and a half north up to LA. He has a mechanic. He wanted to have an inspection done. He wastes my whole day going through this inspection, and I say to him, "Listen, man, if you want the car, buy the car. This is not a $500,000 purchase." And he says to me, I actually need to get a loan to pay for this car, but I would be happy to give you a deposit of like 250 bucks right now, just as a sign of good faith, and that I do wanna buy this, pending my credit app approval. So anyway, he gives me a check, and the next day he like panic calls me 50 times. Hey, don't cash that check, don't cash that check, don't cash that check. I don't want to buy it. I can't get approved for the loan. And I'm like, buddy, you just wasted my whole day and whatever. And I just remember like that whole process. And later that evening, I get a text and somebody goes, "Hey man, can I see the car in the morning?" And I meet up with him the next morning. The dude walks around the car once, drives it up and down the street for 5 minutes, hands me 5,100 in cash, and it was done. And it's so like that's just how this goes, You have people that will run you around for the whole dog and pony show, and not buy, and then the second, then the next call, somebody just says, "Let's buy the $400 a month one," without making you fight for it. So yeah, it just
Mm.
goes to show the pipeline that you have in this business, and managing expectations, I think, is so important. We were talking about this actually, Joe, at the Phoenix meeting last week on that panel you hosted. Is like, you're gonna have a week where just everything goes right. It feels like you're walking on water. Everybody shows up. Everybody wants to buy. You're gonna have a week where you are just under a bridge. You booked all these appointments, but everybody is just a no-show. Or we got to talk to my kids about it. Or my cousin's brother's uncle's nephew got a life insurance license, and I want to ask him, and just nothing works. And then you have 2 weeks that are kind of like in between that, where it's sort of just more average. So you just got to keep the faith when you do have kind of those brutal weeks, and just not let your foot off the gas when you have those great weeks, because it is going to average out a little bit.
That's good. And you've been here for 9 years, 10 years? How long you been here, Grant?
10 years as of June.
I love it. I love it. You and I have similar backgrounds. If I'm not mistaken, you got licensed either in college or right after college. And this is where you've been ever since, which is exactly just like me. And you've seen your fair share of those under the bridge moments and walking on water moments. And I think being able to keep your mental fortitude in check and keep your emotions stable is the secret sauce to being able to show up every week and expect those deals. Love that. Joe, I'm gonna pass it over to you, man. What do you want to dig into first? I mean,
Let's dig into. Let's first do the fun part of this, because I think this is just one of the, dude. So many people don't believe me when I truly say like this is the American dream right now. Like everything goes in transitions. back in the day in the early 80s, it was if you were in the stock market, right? Then it was like if you became a realtor, everyone was scrambling to that. And it's funny because no one saw this is what I guarantee from anyone. No one saw insurance agent. No one saw insurance agent being one of the cool places to work or industries to work. And I think it's even lagged a little bit to become that title because just where it came from, right? It was usually a 60-year-old man in a suit and showing up, knocking on your door. And it was, right, that person that kind of was your family member, and he was the one trying to get everyone signed up at Christmas or Thanksgiving for life insurance. And it's just done like the reason it hasn't changed in the past 100 years was because technology hadn't touched the insurance industry. And technology, because of COVID and so many other things, have now tapped into the life insurance realm, and it's completely changing the game. Like it went even me. I've been here 9 years, and it's changed it. I feel like a dinosaur in the game. When I first started, I was still driving to people's homes. I put
Hmm.
86,000 miles in my car in 1 year. Your first application had to be done on a paper application. It was like a 64. If I wrote an F&G policy, it was like a 64 page policy for an IUL. It was crazy.
Good night.
Oh
And
yeah.
now you can do just about any one of these policies in about 7 to 10 minutes. It's issued right there and then, email to the client. You're paid within the next day or two, right? Then even faster cycle because then it was the lead driven problem, right? Where we used to get them. I don't know if you remember this, like we used to get leads once a week on a
Oh, I
Thursday.
remember. Yeah.
We would call on a Friday and Saturday, and then we would write our
Yep.
business. Now you can get a lead in instantly. Either a CRM or one of your systems can instantly text them. You can book an appointment that same day. You can run an appointment either over the phone or on Zoom. Get it issued, and if it's early enough in the day, that night you're getting a commission statement. Like this industry is crazy. Then we used to pitch it as, hey, we're remote. You can work from wherever you want, but really you were still tied to the district you were going to go drive to, right?
Pretty much.
And now it's really agents without borders. Like you can work from anywhere, any state, you can be traveling writing business. And the reason I wanted to really touch on this is Grant, you do it so much better than anyone I've ever seen. Like you are so remote and virtual, and not just in you can do it in different places, but I think you have a really good piece of hey, I can run an appointment from anywhere. Because even I've struggled with that. I'm like, I got to be quiet. I got to be doing like we're playing golf, dude. We're playing golf, and this Grant's on his phone, and I'm thinking he's texting or playing a video game or calling. And I'm like, oh no, no, he's running an appointment and making 3 grand
Golf course?
on the golf
Wow.
course. Like
Dude.
you embrace that more than anyone I've ever seen. And I really think we need to push and talk about that because that is the true opportunity right now. Like you can work from anywhere. You can step away from anything, write an application really quick. Over the past few years, I'm like, man, I've watched people, I've watched you, Grant, do these type of things. And I'm like, I was on a trip and I couldn't write a policy because I was trying to dial and set an appointment. And I found my groove now. I can almost always write. In fact, I do it intentionally now because I want to use it on social media or I want to show people that, hey, I can literally be at the pool in Cabo, run up to my room really quick because I have an appointment, or do it right there, right? If you're Grant, you do it right there. I'm still a little shy. I'm gonna go run in my room and make $2,000 or $3,000 in I don't know 20 minutes, 30 minutes or less sometimes, and come back and finish my drink at the pool. Like Grant, tell me about that because you like I said, absolutely do it better than anyone I have ever seen. What are you excited about that, and what would you tell an agent to embrace that?
I guess it goes back to the big picture of like the products that we offer add a tremendous value, but they're not fun. Like it's a term life insurance policy is not selling someone a Porsche 911 GT3 RS, that's a super cool item that you can enjoy and touch every day. And so I think that within what we do, what becomes exciting is the ability to have a lifestyle where you can earn an income that's sometimes multiple times higher than a doctor who had to go to school for 6 to 8 to 10 years and had to invest all this money in student loans and had to potentially get their own practice and everything that goes into that. And we have an opportunity where, you study for 20 or 30 hours, you pass a test with a 70%, and you now have a license to be able to do that income or more. And I think that's really where this whole thing like just clicks. And so, the freedom to write business from wherever, I mean, it's really a personal preference. I'll say over the years, like I think it's funny. Early on, I thought that it was like super cool that somebody was working like while they were on a beach. Like, oh, that's super cool. And then kind of as I got further into it, I kind of realized, wait a minute, does that guy actually have work-life balance? Because yeah, your scenery is cool. Yeah, you're on vacation, but if you're working, you're not really getting the recharge that maybe you wanted. And so I kind of shifted to where over the last few years, I've really tried to be intentional about taking time off when I do have a carrier trip, when we were in Banff with Mutual of Omaha a couple weeks ago, that was a true kind of unplug, not really do any calls, not do any work trips. But the reason that I'm comfortable doing that is because almost every day I'm just running this business from wherever and I'm not treating it like I'm chained to a desk. I kind of like to joke about how I'm trying to set the record for most life insurance sold from a jacuzzi. That's just because if I have a choice, assuming it's not 120 degrees outside like it is right now in Arizona, that's where I want to spend my time. Like I want to spend my time in the jacuzzi having a cigar, and just kind of relaxing. And it's because what we do here is not a physically demanding business. It does require a high degree of emotional intelligence, but you can kind of do that from anywhere. They always kind of talk about like, money solves problems, but you don't see like, people are generally not frowning when they're on a jet ski. So it's like you at least are able to arrive to your problems in style. So yeah, I just think that where a lot of people are at these days, where they don't realize what is possible is, we had to go physically meet with people in their house. I'd have to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours away to somebody's house, hope that they, didn't forget about me and they didn't drive to the grocery store and they're actually home. And I'd have to sit kneecap to kneecap at their kitchen table and go over everything. And nowadays, I can be out in my backyard with my dogs running around. I can text them and ask them if they're available to chat. They're like, yeah, sure, give me a call. I got them on speakerphone while I'm just sitting in a rocking chair out in my backyard. I can pull up their quotes from my phone. I can write the application from my phone. I can get them approved in a matter of minutes. And then 48 hours later, I get a deposit of 3,000 bucks. And so I think that ability to just do this from like when we talk about work-life balance, that's what I mean. I don't talk about like going on a vacation, but it's not really a vacation because you're working. Like that's not a brag for me. What's a brag for me is yeah, we can go be out on the golf course on a Tuesday afternoon or on a Friday morning like we were, and I don't have to take time off work to go have fun because if I do need to step away for 15 or 20 minutes to write a deal and skip two or three holes, I can still do that. So it's kind of more like not so much a work-life balance, it's a work-life harmony. How do I get it to kind of flow effectively together where you're really building a life you don't necessarily even need a vacation from?
Mm, I love that, dude. I love that. I remember when we were in Punta Cana, I think it was last September, and you and I were chilling in the pool, and Joe, you were there too, and we were talking about how like qualifying for the trips initially is the flex. Like I sold enough to get on this trip. The carrier sent me out there, and you were like, the real flex is not needing to work while you're on vacation. Like you can qualify for the trip and you're in a place where you can just enjoy the trip. You're not worried about missed appointments while you're out of the country. And that definitely stuck with me. And every trip I've been on since, bro, haven't worked.
Nice.
Just been enjoying it. I'm working on getting my hot tub in the backyard so that I can start writing apps from there.
Oh, who's gonna have the most apps in a hot tub?
Grant's got a good head start. I don't even have the hot tub.
Season ahead, you can season out of it because during the summer he ain't jumping in.
Dude, in the summer here, I'm in the pool. I might need to get a cold plunge, write apps from that instead. It's pretty hot here in North Carolina, but I love that, dude. And one thing that you do so well is you're not just a great producer. Like you're building, you're hiring agents, you're turning these agents into writers, you're getting them activated, you're getting them plugged in, and you've just been so freaking consistent. But I want to talk about like one of the not so fun seasons because you've been here for a decade, bro. There's no way every quarter of the last 10 years have just been a cakewalk. Like I'm sure you've been smacked around and have had some stuff happen. What's been like if you're cool sharing, like what's been one of the more difficult seasons that you kind of had to work through? Because this business is fun. I mean, writing apps from your jacuzzi, smoking a cigar, the dogs are hanging out in the background, and the work you just did for a 25-30 minute phone call is going to pay you 2 grand. That sounds fun. I think a lot of people that appeals to. But this is entrepreneurship, and shit happens, you know. So I would love to hear about like one of those really difficult seasons and what was going on, how you overcame it, and kind of the aftermath of that.
Yeah, I think that's really easy because it's one I'm kind of in, and it's weird because like you look at the numbers that people have, and you say, oh my God, you're at you wrote 35 grand 2 weeks ago, you wrote 16 grand last week, you're on pace to maybe do that again this week, how could you ever have any problems? And I think the difference is that we have, they talk about like in football, there's three sides of the ball. And it's kind of like the same thing here. We've got production, we've got building, and we've got mentorship. Those are kind of the three categories I would put our role in if you do decide to become an agency owner. And so, like, for me, I think it's a scenario where, I've done such a great job on the production side in the last 3 years out of necessity because I had done such a good job, like, on the building side for a while. I got to the point I was comfortable. So like, I came in, 2017, 2018, I start building the agency. I got to the point where I was doing 70, 80, 90 grand a month in production, and I was able to actually get out of the field. I was out of the field from basically 2019 or so to 2022. And the reason I had to get back into the field is because I had, what I call the 30-50 hour. It's where I lost 30% of my agency and 50% of my income literally the same hour. One part of that was a positive thing. One of the large agencies that's on my team actually had leveled up and earned a promotion, which was a positive thing overall, but it did mean that I lost override income from them. And then I had another massive producer on my team who decided that they fell on some hard times. They ran into trouble with a couple of fraudulent things they had done, and they ended up leaving and went with another company. And so, at that point, I went from being what I thought was like kind of the coach to now having to be in this position where now I am kind of back on the field. I'm back to being the team captain. And so for me, I spent the last really 3 to 4 years, producing at a high level, which is great for cash flow. It's great for income. It's great for being recognized on the leaderboard. But unfortunately, it's meant that I haven't gotten myself to the point of agency ownership that I want to be at. I haven't gotten myself to the point where my team is where I can really stop producing at a high level. So I'm actively in that role where I'm making that switch kind of back. And so now like people are like, "Oh, you're producing at this high level." I almost hate hearing that because it's like it reminds me that I'm focused on the wrong leaderboard right now. Like every season, you have to decide what season you're in. In 2022, I had to pick up my production hat out of necessity, but you know what, man, it's 2026. That is not something that I need to still be focused on in the way that I am. And so for me, I look at what I've just done over the last couple weeks and making an intentional switch over to the building side, adjusting some of the recruiting platforms I'm using, starting to focus on working with licensed agents. And man, I've got 4 or 5 people that I've met in the last 7 days that are now going to be a new writer in my base shop this week. I can tell you that in the last 6 months combined, I don't believe that I had, that many writers in my base shop. So now, like you talk
Yeah.
about kind of the season you're in, man, I have struggled big time as a builder in the last few years, and now I'm really excited to kind of put that hat back on and kind of sunset out a little bit of the production, to be honest.
That's awesome, dude. That's super cool. Now, dude, I resonate a lot with that.
You too.
Now, I can relate to that a lot. The difficult part for me personally, just moment of vulnerability. I struggle with the comparison, dude. I see all these people who it just seems like the recruiting aspect just comes so effortless and easily to, or they just get lucky hiring nothing but studs. And I was hiring my broke cousin Willie, who rolled up chargebacks to me after he quit, and I'm like, come on, man, can't catch a break. But uh, you stuck with it, dude. You stuck with it. You're still getting incredible results. It sounds like you got like a new class of agents, and they say new blood is the lifeblood of this business, and you don't want to be turning strugglers into survivors. It's better to just find new people. So that's really good. Joe, what were you gonna ask, man?
No, I just love that you said that, right? Because we all go through different seasons, but you know what? Tell me how you feel about this. Like now knowing there couldn't be a better time, right? And now refocus on recruiting. Like, how excited are you on that? Because here's the thing, right? Like people have built and it's been hard to build, and you were building before, and you saw how hard it was to activate an agent, right? Can you speak to the new agent out there? Because basically they're your new agents right now, but there couldn't be a better time to do it, right? Like they're easy. It's a lot easier to activate an agent. It's a lot easier to get them profitable. So like, what would you tell your new agent right now? Like, hey, there couldn't be a better time. So what's the journey you're giving them right now? Production and building. What's kind of like that quick journey that you could tell them?
So, like, you're talking about like what would be kind of some keys to success in their first 90 days, or more just like a big picture, what they should focus on?
In Grant's world, right? So they just joined Grant's team. In fact, let's speak to the six new writers coming up, right? Like, what would you want them focused on in insurance right now? Like, how would you want them to produce, right? What type of leads, maybe? What's the best practices? And then, are you telling them to recruit right now as well? And then, what's great about it?
Yeah. So I would say, as I have interviewed with more and more people that work at different companies, I'm absolutely astounded that other companies are able to hire people with how terrible their corporate structure is. Like I am flabbergasted, and there's
That's a good
probably other
vocabulary.
companies out there that are thinking the same thing about us because they feel that they've got an edge in some certain way. But man, I got to tell you, like I'm talking to these people that are getting paid 20, 30% commissions. I'm talking to people that have had to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars into, becoming agency owners and build a physical office. And I'm talking to people that, have leads that they know are sold to seven different people at the same time, and you got to fight over each other to try and get to it. And like it really is put in perspective how good we really have it here. And so, like, when we're bringing on new people, I definitely want them to know that you're in a position where we've really hammered out the metrics around leads. We've hammered out really the best practices around the sales process with different lead types. And we have probably the strongest portfolio that we've ever had. And we've even made it where you don't have to be an expert at certain things. We have subject matter experts that can handle particular products that maybe you might not feel as comfortable with, or you're just not really ready to learn. So, like, if I'm talking to new people, I really want you to focus on understanding that what we have is an attained result of consistent activity and consistent reaching out and asking for help. The only thing I'm looking for is massive action and constant correction. I can tell you a lot of examples of people on my team that are not winning, and all of them point to the fact that they book two or three appointments a week when we told them that the number is to book 15. Or people that, went ahead and did their own research, and you know what? I presented a policy that looked really good price wise for the client, but you know what? It sounds like they're going to have to do a medical exam and we're going to have to pull doctor's records. And you're like, buddy, what are you doing? And they're like, but it's the cheapest price. You're like, well, there's a reason it's never going to get approved. And so, like, I just want people that are really coachable and really trainable. And I want us to have very clear expectations about what you want and what we're going to get. And I also want you to understand that this is a pipeline business. Meaning that it's possible that you could write a policy my first day. I wrote two policies my very first day out in the field meeting with clients, but I know people that are very successful here that took them 6 to 8 weeks to write their first policy. And so I think that people really need to understand that you probably came into this from the mindset of an employee, and I'm not saying that in a negative aspect. It just means that for you to convert into a business owner mindset, you're going to have to be willing to do some things that you've never done before if you want to get some things that you never got before. And so I want to set the expectation that it's not like you have to make 500 dials every week. There's not necessarily an activity goal. It's really more about what is your resolution on your leads and what amount of appointments are we going to get to. So we need to set goals that are around your personal targets. So if you say to me, I've had quite a few conversations this week, most people tell me I want to make six figures, I want to make 10 grand a month. Now, unfortunately, in this day and age, you got to make 10 grand a month just to be broke. So you take your
It's
10 grand a
sad but
month,
true.
and that's 2,500 bucks a week. So that means you're going to have to sell about 3 to 4 policies a week. And so we don't need to get into the weeds unless you want to, but like I just want my new agents to have an expectation that in order to book or order to write 3 policies a week, I probably have to have 10 presentations, and that means I might have to book 15 appointments. And then from there I can go backwards to figure out like how many leads do I need to obtain? How many of those am I going to have to convert into an appointment? And then from there, we can figure it out because so many people see the success story. They see someone like Joe Martinez who's literally living the American dream and able to travel around with his massive family, the Brady Bunch, wherever he wants to go. They see young people like Elijah that are writing all this business, and just so relaxed and casual about it. And I don't think they understand that all of us have had those days where we just were questioning whether or not this was going to work. And we went through a learning curve where we were working harder and we were expending more emotional energy than what we were compensated in commissions. And the only reason that now all three of us, I think you guys would probably agree that you feel that you're probably compensated more than you actually work. The reason that we feel that way right now is because we had to go through a learning curve where we got our ass kicked repeatedly, and we went through the time where then we sort of started to figure it out, and we're okay, we're kind of getting paid proportionally to what we think. And now we finally got paid, we're getting paid kind of more than maybe what it feels like we should necessarily because of that. So my advice to like any new people coming in is like give me a goal that you actually care about, don't just make it up. And if you're serious about that goal, we can map out exactly what leads do I need to get, how many appointments do I need to book, how many people do I need to sit with to get there. And then if we can make constant corrections within those different intervals, you're going to get it. Because maybe you book 15 appointments and you're really good on the phone, but now I have my 10 client presentations and I only wrote 2 policies. Well, I want to figure out with you where those 8 out of 10 went wrong, and we need to be able to break that down. So I just want people that have great communication skills. I want them to be a student of the business. I want them to understand that it is simple, but it's not easy. And I want you to give yourself enough permission to fail here and realize that if you don't do 100% of the right things, you're not going to get any percent of the result. Like you can do 98% of the right stuff and only get 5% of the result. And that sucks and it's unfair and it doesn't sound right. But you know what? The world needs ditch diggers too. So if you want to have what we got, you got to do what we do, baby.
Oh, that's so
Oh,
good.
dude, that's so good.
And the vision of these podcasts, right, is to help y'all so much too, right? So like, if you're out there and you're listening, the industry has shifted, like we said earlier. There are agencies now coming into insurance, writing hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, and getting to $1 million agency within a year. If you want to be part of an organization like that, I'm telling you, Grant, that Lieber Agency is one of them. This guy writes $97,000 a month, and he does it. I've watched him do it from a golf cart, right? Like I've watched him recruit. He just told you what he expects for you to win here. And so if y'all are listening to them, I'm telling y'all, reach out to the Libra agency because the I'm telling y'all, in a year, you're gonna be amazed at what his agency is doing because he has learned the lessons. He has seen it with his own eyes. He's got the scars and the wounds to prove it. And he has now the experience to teach you how to do this so much faster. This is why insurance right now is so exciting because so many people like him have learned all these lessons. And now with technology, now with lead resources, now with symmetry, because I'm telling you, I love what Grant said. Like we do so many interviews. I don't know how some other, it's crazy. Like our setup here when it comes to, and Grant, you hit all three of these. The three reasons that I hear the most out there when I'm hiring a licensed agent is I didn't have a lead resource, I didn't have scripts or training, and I don't have mentorship. Like those are the three reasons that Grant can solve for you. And here's the cool part. There is nothing like a leader that's doing it right now. And so I'm telling you, if y'all are watching this, if you're thinking about getting your license, if you're already licensed, you need to reach out to the Libra agency because it's exciting to watch you, Grant. Like it truly is, dude. I've never seen someone do the way the business you do it. Like I still struggle with this stuff, and it's funny, right? Because we all see ourselves in a different shoe. Like we're never at the place we want to be, right? But dude, I'm telling you, just from what I've watched, I would be the first one to sign up to your agency because I know you're the one that could teach me to do this the newest way right now. So, Elijah, I don't know what you want to add to that because it's dude, it's cool to watch this business like this.
It is. It is. I mean, Grant, I would say you're built for this, dude. You probably don't feel like that all the time, but like when I hear you talk about this, I'm like, this dude is like, you're meant to be an agent with symmetry. I don't know if you take that as a compliment or not, but you're just naturally
I,
gifted.
I was hoping to hear maybe that I was like meant to be like a Hugo Boss fashion model, but that's okay. I'll take that
I guess I'll
as
do
a close
insurance.
second.
Dude,
Yeah,
I was meant to
that
be an
outsell
F1
trend.
driver. I don't know how I ended up here.
Yeah, no,
um,
man,
so
yeah, and
I
and also
go ahead.
just yeah, and man, I found this on a Craigslist ad when I was 21 years old. Like, you know, I was a
That's
senior in
crazy.
college. Yeah, I know you and me have similar origin story with that. And so I think that's another big piece is like we're not looking for a specific background. We have people that are nurses and bartenders and those that have been in financial services, but I would say most of the people that are a part of our agency have not been in financial services, or at least not for any meaningful amount of time. And so I think that's what's another really cool thing about what we do is it's so customizable across the board. And especially with how buying, you talk about how buying behavior has changed over the years. People want to be able to get online, make a request, have someone very quickly, but very kind of efficiently get them through the right product for them and their family, and then get them approved and be done. And so now we kind of have to walk this tightrope between like we want to be thorough with our clients, but we also need to make it fast. And that's, I think, really where my skill set has shined here is I'm really good at getting people to respond to me over text, which is how people want to be contacted these days. And I'm really quick at being able to cut through the nonsense. What exactly do we need? What's in your budget? Here it is. You want it or not? And if you don't want it, you're the dumb one because we've already uncovered the need.
As we land this plane, I don't want to like overdo what you've already talked about, but I want to talk a little bit about your record month, your $97,000 month, because some people won't write that in a year. And you did it in I think a 4 or 5 week month. And I want to give you like a couple rapid fire questions, but the first thing I'm curious about is did you set out to write that much? Like, did you have a big goal? Or was it more so, I'm just going to take more leads, I'm going to run more appointments, I'm going to spend more time in the hot tub and just see, just see how much I write? Like, was that the game plan?
So I did have the goal of writing 100 grand. It was for the purpose of helping qualify for my next promotion. And yeah, so I did have the expectation of that's what I need to write. I did have a game plan of the extra investment I was going to make in leads, and I did have the expectation that I was going to put in some extra hours that I maybe would not have ordinarily done.
Mm. So if there's agents out there who, myself included, I mean, I would love to write that. What's the blueprint? Like, is there a certain dollar amount? Is there a certain lead type? Is there a certain schedule? Like, hey, from this time to this time I'm working. Did you have like a certain number of appointments you needed to run every single week because you know your close ratios? Like, what's the recipe for folks who want to put up 90 to 100 grand in a month? What's the
Yeah,
simple step?
and I don't necessarily want to timestamp this episode because like, the leads every lead type changes, and so the strategy might be different, but really for me it was getting about 30 digital leads a week. I was working Razor Ridge leads,
Hey, shout
and
out Razor. We love those guys.
yeah, we love Razor, and that gave me the ability on a weekly basis to have about 20 appointments set. I had a pipeline built up, so that was that. Somebody was asking me the other day, they were like, "Hey, I heard you wrote, 100, almost 100 grand. We can round up and just call it 100. That's okay. We don't have to call it 97. 100 sounds better." Was that all really from, Razor Ridge? And the answer was it was about 75% from Razor Ridge. There was about 25% of me doing my own book of business management, which is another great tip. If you have been here over, I would say not even a year, if you've been here over 6 months, if you're not re-engaging with your clients to do a policy review and to check in with them, you are missing a massive opportunity to add on additional coverage and help that family out, and just to make sure that you're taking care of your clients the right way. But yeah, it was basically 20 to 30, let's call it 30 on average, Razor Ridge leads a week. The investment was generally in the neighborhood of about 14 to 1600 bucks a week to do that. Um, and it was just one of those things where I really leaned on products where I was trying to, I don't want to say upsell my clients, but I do want to say that I was not shy to show big premium. There was quite a few deals that were 3, 4, 500 bucks a month that fit the client's need and it fit their budget, and I wasn't afraid to present that. Sometimes we have a fear of like, oh my God, 400 bucks, that's too much. Well, you only think it's too much to you. It's not too much to your client because their financial situation is not yours. So I was not afraid to show big numbers if it was what they needed and I thought was the best fit for their family. I wasn't afraid to invest in leads, and I also was not afraid to put in time over the weekend where otherwise I might have taken some time off.
Yeah. Simple as that. More leads, more activity, being resourceful, working your existing book, maybe running a couple appointments over the weekend. Phenomenal, dude. I love it. Joe, close us down, man. Any last questions, things you'd want to add? I feel
I would
like we just
just,
gave the people a lot.
yeah, yeah. I would just again, man. The vision with this podcast is to teach agents, right? If you're looking to get a license, like you get to understand what the business really looks like. I hope we gave you a great example of that. The vision is also help, right? The people we get to interview build their agencies. And I hope y'all heard this is, if you want to join an agency, this is one, right? Like someone that can teach you, someone that can mentor you, someone that's been proven, right? Because there's nothing like joining. You know how many stories, and Grant, you've probably contest to this, right? That how many people we've interviewed or brought on because their upline hired them and is now gone in the business.
A
And
lot.
you want to work for someone that has been at a place, right, for a long time. And so, Grant, is it this is the only insurance place you've been to?
Only place.
Right? I think
Me
all three of
too.
us can say that. This is the
Yeah.
only insurance place I have. Like, I interviewed somebody one time, and they were a little bit older than me and been in the field or in the career for about 20 years. They're like, Joe, that's something y'all need to say more often, because you don't understand how many times we jump IMOs or we jump agencies. And I heard this great saying too, where it doesn't even matter what IMO you work in. Like there's too many, right? Like Prime America is a billion. Like they work well, right? Like FFO works well. Like you can go be successful in an insurance IMO or company, right? What really matters is that you find the right agency for you. So if what y'all heard today, right, is something you want to be able to do, you want to be able to write 100 grand in a month. You want to be able to build a team. You want to be tested, and you want all the lessons of what insurance is going to throw at you. Because Elijah, you said it best. It's hard, right? Like it's good times and bad times, right? And so the Lieber agency's one, dude. I'm telling you, if I were brand new and I was looking at Symmetry, you'd be one of the first agencies I'd join, because just the way I watch you work is absolutely insane, and such a healthy, financial, profitable, and experience. Like there's so much to learn from you. So I'll leave them
I
with.
appreciate you, buddy. You guys are too good to me. I mean, I've been looking up to you, man, for a really long time, and Elijah, obviously, we spent a lot of time together, and so I think that's just the cool thing about what we have here. Like, there's really no, like, I can legitimately say there's really nobody that is an agency owner within our company that I don't like and that I wouldn't, spend time with. And that's another big element is when you say making it fun, insurance isn't boring. It's not about the products, it's about being around the people. It's about being able to make your dials together on Zoom and kind of joke around about different unique scenarios that we have. And we all have, endless stories of fun stuff that we can share. So I think it's just giving yourself permission to get out of your comfort zone. It might be something that's very uncomfortable at first, but if you truly want something that you haven't got before, you are going to have to do some things you haven't done, and give yourself grace to fail initially, and give yourself the timeline to be able to run up to it. And I think that's something we do a really good job of, is setting the right expectation. It's something I'm working every day to get better at. How do I make sure that I set an expectation that is where I'm giving them goals that are attainable but still a little bit of a stretch, and then a realistic timeline to get there. You know it's a red flag when you see people have to promote the fact that they're driving around in their McLarens and Ferraris, and they're flying private. Like there's a reason why they're kind of recruiting to that type of thing. I think we're a lot of people that have the money to do those things, and sometimes we might want to splurge and do it, but ultimately we're just trying to, build something cool for our families and have, the freedom and flexibility to do it from wherever.
Amen to that. I think that's the most appealing thing about our company. Well, with that, folks, go apply what Grant just talked about. Go set some goals. Don't be afraid to fail. Go kick some ass. We'll see you next week.